Because I was watching all different camps, you know. But
Right.
the first email I sent, because I thought they were all the same.
Right.
I sent it to GMS. And this is I sent
Exactly. That's my daughter.
I sent an email to GMS, but they never got back to me. And they did eventually get back to me. 2 years or 3 years later, after we already established GOCC here, so it was too late.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they sent me an email. I got it here, like I could show you, wanting to establish a camp here, but I was already establishing the GOCC. So
gotcha. Yeah. Wow. Like, did you start the camp? Did you start your particular camp in Australia, or was there already like some people there, and then you guys just kind of got together and then they kind of made you the leader? How did that go?
All right, so I thought I was the only person with the truth. You know what I mean? Okay. In Australia, yeah. I was in that conspiracy mindset.
Gotcha.
But I sent an email off to the GOCC headquarters. Got in contact with the UK mob. They sent me an email of another because there was like 3 other people or something like that here in Australia. So you're like jumping for joy. You're like, wow,
yeah,
I'm not the only one.
Okay.
So what we would do is every Friday night we would Skype each other.
Right.
And then I told them I wanted to go get baptized. So I was on my way. I went to the UK to get baptized, and I stayed there for a couple months. Got baptized and staying with a sister over there. Just seeing how we're supposed to be operating and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah. And then when I came back, I know the brothers. There was 2 brothers up in Brisbane. They started, sharing this with their families and whatnot, and then they started. They were able to convince them about the lie.
Okay.
And then they started to have a little bit of home fellowship and whatnot. So, there was also a family in Darwin as well, but they've never really. They've just stayed on their own type of thing. Okay. Like no one's listening to them.
So were these more Polynesian guys, or was it kind of like a mixture, or
the 2 brothers in Brisbane? They were Fijian, so they're like Melanesian.
Gotcha. Okay. So more like what do you call it? More like the Aboriginal side of Fiji, or
yeah, well, Fiji's interesting because like where they're located in the South Pacific, they're like there's a mixed multitude type of of the darker races. Did you get what I'm saying? So
gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So at this point, you've just now get in the camp, or you're getting your portion of the camp organized, and do you guys immediately go out and start to go out and preach, or what do you guys like, or does it kind of take a while for you guys to get to that level?
So the Brisbane, the Brisbane part of the GOCC here, the South Pacific, started to grow. Like I said, they started getting family members in and
gotcha.
some friends. So that got the elders' interest,
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we decided, all right, we'll try to raise some funds to get the elders over, and we could like do some street speaking, maybe talk to some more family members, things like that. So in 2015, I think it was, end of 2015, we had a couple of the GOCC elders come down. They went to Brisbane spoke with family members there because, like I said, they already started fellowshipping in that.
Right.
In Melbourne, I organized like a little seminar at the Liberal Community Center, and I invited all people that I could. I even printed out flyers and
Wow.
did some promo on the local radio.
Wow.
Yeah. I did that.
So did they fund you, or did they kind of like give you money for that? Oh, it was just out of your pocket.
Out of my own pocket. Yeah. I even hired the whole everything. I did that out of my own pocket.
Wow.
Yeah,
man.
And then from that day we had the seminar. Literally the next day we baptized like 6 people, and the church started here in Melbourne.
Oh wow.
So Brisbane already started to have momentum.
Okay.
But that's when things started happening down here in Melbourne.
Gotcha.
End of 2015.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, it's it's like I've never talked to a person who was actually a part of a camp, who had actually come out of the camp. I did talk to a lady, and she was actually the wife of a guy who was a part of the camp, and they were both, Hebrew Israelites, and she was just like giving me, like a lot of insight, like on the camps and stuff, and because she was in Tennessee, and she was just like telling me a lot of stuff that I didn't know. There's a lot of stuff that a lot of us, including myself, that we can be ignorant to when it comes to the Hebrew Israelite movement or the Hebrew Israelite cult. And it's like, but they basically use the same exact tactics, to kind of draw people in, it seems like. And so how did they now just looking at you and looking at me, if we was to both stand next to each other and someone was to ask, which one of us is more likely to be into the Hebrew Israelite cult, a lot of people will probably pick me because I'm darker skinned and I got the beard and stuff like that. So how did people receive you as a Polynesian man, who was claiming to be a Hebrew Israelite? Like how did the camps receive you?
Well, obviously, as you know, GOCC is the only camp like recognized, like mainstream camp, if you want to even call it that. The known camps, let's just call it one of the known camps that recognize Polynesians as Israelites.
Okay.
The other camps like GMS, GMS is different. Like they'll say Polynesians as a whole are not Israelites, but there are some Israelites in amongst them.
Right. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's almost like even when I'll probably say, since we're more on the East Coast, it'll probably be the equivalent of Hispanic, right?
No, GMS actually believe like the Hispanics as a whole, like the indigenous are Israelites.
Oh, okay.
Like the indigenous ones, right?
Gotcha.
The indigenous Polynesians are not, but there are some Israelites in there because Israelites went into all nations. Did you know what I mean?
So basically, how long were you the head of your particular sect in Australia?
What happened is in Brisbane, like we started to get a lot of momentum here in Melbourne.
Okay.
And the brother who was in charge of Brisbane, his brother Samu, he could see things that was wrong with the leadership and the eldership that were under. I was naive at the time, but I've never been part of like a church movement where I was raised in the church, but by the time I was old enough, I was like, I'm out of here. But being involved and willing, I was like, whatever the elder says, we just do. Right. I was of that mindset. Whereas he started, him being, a little bit more versed in the Bible than I was at that time. He was starting to see the case. So, he ended up leaving, and then the whole Brisbane thing just fell apart. And while here in Melbourne, we were just getting bigger, momentum, was growing, and then eventually, it was 3 of us put in charge. But then when that all went down, then I was the guy who was the head for the GOCC South Pacific,
Okay.
in this region.
Wow. And how long did you hold that title?
Till end of 2009. Yeah, beginning of 2019. Yeah, or end
Okay.
of that, something like that.
Okay. So roughly like a year or so, you were like the head guy, or
for a year I was I was the head for like 3 years.
oh, 3 years. Okay. Wow. And you said it was for the South Pacific.
Yeah, GOCC South Pacific. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So I would if I had to deal. We had a camp in New Zealand. We had a camp.
Wow, all the way in New Zealand. Wow.
Yeah, that's where I'm from originally. So,
but I would have never thought that this would be something that would be taking place, in Australia or even in New Zealand for that matter. So, I mean, that is just that is just some information that is just new to my ears, and they're basically just targeting people who are Polynesian or Pacific Islander. So these are majority of the people that they're targeting.
They'll target anyone who'll fall for it. Let's be honest.
Really,
that's how the cults work,
Gotcha, exactly.
But yeah, that obviously their main audience is Polynesian, Aborigines.
Gotcha.
So
how do they incorporate Bible verses such as like Deuteronomy 28:68? Because like they'll throw that at me like all day because I'm a Black American, so they'll basically say Deuteronomy 28:68. Your people went into slavery, and this is how we know that you are God's people based on that verse. So what verses do they use in particular to basically kind of prove that you guys are part of this truth, as they call it?
Like a nation from far will come and overtake thee, and you'll be in want for all things. And
gotcha.
And all that, and then they'll the fringes. This is a funny one. They'll say the grass skirts. Those are the fringes, the grass skirts.
Oh wow!
And the fringes. Yet the grass skirts are the fringes. Yet you're worshiping a wooden idol. Isn't that what the fringes were supposed to remind you?
Right.
Not to worship the idol.
Exactly.
So I don't. It's very, very just reaching. Like it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. I've seen a couple of camps, who have some white people in it. Did your did your particular sect have anybody who was white or anybody who was like?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had a mixed multitude.
So how did these guys end up in? How did they end up joining the movement?
Well, we had these South African people coming, but they were not concerned with they could chew the meat and spit on the bone. So they were just coming in because of the lessons I was teaching on on the Saturday. But
so it's almost like they just wanted to be a part of something.
I could show you an email. Like a lady emailed me about coming to church, and I don't know if she emailed me or we spoke on the phone. But she asked me, "Is there any white people in the church?"
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? Why is that a question? Like,
yeah, exactly.
These are the things. Like, I always, when I started to become more sober-minded and just running the church, but then obviously doing your own studies and things like that, you start to see problems,
right.
Like, if a white person comes to church, like we had a white guy, I won't say his name. This guy was from Siberia, but he would he got called white once and he took offense because I could be, there were Negroes in Siberia. And I'm like, Siberia is like, if you want to find some of the whitest people on earth, they're in Siberia. But they would deny their their race or
Yeah.
what they were, just on the possibility that they could be a Jew. But I don't know. I don't think they've read the New Testament.
Right.
Because,
Exactly.
it's not. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Especially Colossians 3:11. It's just wow. So okay. All right. So you got everything. Going in Brisbane, everything is just, you guys are starting to build, people are starting to, follow you guys. You guys are growing. What made you get to the point to where you were just like, wait, hold on, something's not right about this. I need to get out of this as soon as possible.
Man, I started to see holes in the doctrine.